You gotta watch this video because I'm gonna give you 7 so important tips on filling out your DS-160, which is the application to get your US visa at a US consulate abroad. You gotta hear these 7 tips. I've been doing this for 20 years, and believe me, I know what you need to do in order to get that visa approved. Hi, I'm Andrea Shev, if you don't know me already, and I am a U.S. immigration attorney, and thank you today for joining me to talk U.S. immigration. I have put together this channel to give you clear, concise, and easy to understand information on all different topics U.S. immigration. In this video, we are going to focus on my 7 tips to getting you to fill out your DS-160 successfully and to get your visa approved. Let's do this. First tip, pay very close attention to your personal details. Your birth date, your name, your passport number. If you get those wrong, it's going to mess everything up and cause severe delays in the process. That basic information needs to match your passport and the DS-160 and the passport match, so there's no issues when you go to the consulate for your interview or when you're scheduling your interview. So make sure you double, triple, quadruple check your name, passport number, and date of birth to make sure they are accurate and correct. Tip number 2, make sure that your travel history is accurate. The application is going to ask you for your prior travel history and addresses. So double and triple check to make sure that you are accurate on your travel history, because remember, they have that travel history too. If you put in inaccurate in the application and they see that it's inaccurate, it's going to start the application off on the wrong foot. Same with prior address history. Make sure it's consistent with prior DS-160s you filled out, or what you're going to put on anything or have put on anything now or in the future, so everything is accurate on your prior address history and your travel history. Tip number 3, make sure that your employment history is accurate and complete. If there's big gaps, you'll have to explain those gaps of why there's gaps in your employment history. But make sure that you put accurate dates and make sure it matches any resumes that you've submitted with the prior petition or that you gave to your employer that petition for you to get your visa. Make sure everything is accurate and correct. Also, make sure that when they ask for your education, you go back to your secondary school. It's not just your advanced degree information. You need to give them your secondary school and then obviously your university school or any trade schools. But don't forget the secondary school on the application. Number 4, make sure you give accurate and complete information about your family. It asks for your immediate family information. Make sure that their names are correct, the family relationship's correct, the date of birth if they ask for it is correct. Make sure that when you provide information about family members, you don't miss anybody and you give them all the correct information. If you give them wrong information and they're listed as a dependent on another application, it could cause confusion and problems and delays that you don't want to happen. Tip number 5, make sure you're ready with travel dates and contact information. You are going to have to put down a travel date when you intend to travel, the address in the US, and your contact in the US. Usually it's the petitioner. So make sure you have that information available to put on your application. And I understand and I realize that sometimes when they ask for a date of intended travel, it's very hard to predict because your interview might not happen for 6-8 months from now, or you have no idea when it's going to happen. You put the date that you want to travel, the date that makes sense for your plans. That's the date you put on the application. Don't just make up a willy-nilly date. Want to put a date that makes sense and make sure the contact information for the US is accurate and in line with what it should be. Tip number 6, upload a proper photo. It has to be a US style passport photo, dimensions and size. The dimensions and size are on the DS-160 application so you can see them, and you have to upload them into the application. Now, I've done this for many, many, many years, and I can tell you that sometimes you upload and you upload and you upload and it says denied, 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 denied. So eventually sometimes you just have to say forget it, and then you just bring with you to the interview 2 US passport style photos. printed, like actual ones you get and you print. So my tip to you is that if it just doesn't work and you try and try and try, just make sure you bring with you those 2 US style passport photos to the interview. And the last 7th tip I'm going to give you is make sure to review carefully and meticulously your application before you hit submit. You cannot make changes to the application once you submit it. So if you submit it and you made errors, you're going to have to redo the whole thing again. And if your interview is based on that DS-160 number, it's a headache to change your DS-160 number that is attached to the interview you already have. So make sure before you do your interview or before you hit that submit button, you double check all the application to make sure it's accurate and correct before you submit the application. So then when you have to do your online profile and you're setting up your interview, you're not going to have to worry that you're going to have to change the DS-160 number, because if you do, like I said, it is a nightmare and it's a pain. So you want to make sure that you don't have to redo it or have to do it all again because of an error you made on a prior application. All right, I hope this was helpful for you. This is 7 key tips to be successful in your DS-160 application. It is so important that you are just really tuned in to the details of the information that you put on there to make sure everything is accurate and consistent across all items that you've submitted to any government agency, or resumes, other applications, other DS-160s. Make sure everything is consistent, and also make sure that really pertinent personal information is correct. So double and triple check that before you submit your application, because once you submit it, you can't change it. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully you all out there will fill out perfect DS-160 applications and get your interviews and get your visas issued with no problem. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, there's free visa guide and checklist below here, along with a link to a consult with me if you need it to prep you for that interview. I'll walk you through step by step. We'll do prep, we'll do mock interviewing, we'll do all that good stuff. Sign up for that right below the video. Have an amazing, amazing morning, afternoon, night, wherever you are in the world. And thank you for joining me, and look forward to seeing you next time.